And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. And the physicians embalmed Israel. And 40 days were fulfilled for him. For so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 60 days. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
All right. Now, Pastor Biden, not only did Joseph have his father embalmed, but when Joseph turned 110, he was also embalmed.
Yes, sir.
So we understand that Genesis has been the very first Bible, our very first book of the Bible, that this has been going on for a very long time. So when we talk about this art of embalming, this is not something new. Right. All right. Now, I just want to make sure we clear up something immediately. We believe at Golden Gate Funeral Home there's a difference between the art of embalming and just the mechanics of embalming. And I think the chief embalmer would agree with me. At Golden Gate Funeral Home, we don't just go through the motions. That we understand that it's very important, the presentation of what your loved one look like. Do you agree with that, Ms. Henderson?
Certainly I do, Mr. Beckwith. The presentation is foremost because the embalming is for the family.
Right.
It's definitely for the family. It's not something that we just take lightly, of course, because we serve as people. And certainly the presentation of their loved ones is most important to all of us. And
I want to talk about the three orders that we think the importance is. First thing we understand is that sanitation is the most important thing at Golden Gate Funeral Home. Right. And then we understand the presentation because, as our chief embalmer states, we have to take care of the families that have entrusted their loved one with us. Exactly. And then we have the third thing, was this preservation, because we want to make sure that your loved one is being taken care of and they are presentable to the public. Right. So I want to ask you all a question. Now, how long does it take you to get ready in the morning? Now, I start off with you, King of Pretty. How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
It takes me about 45 minutes.
Okay.
I want to make sure that I'm looking my best when I go out in front of the public.
All right.
Because I'm a public person and I service people. So and I represent Golden Gate Funeral Home. All right. So I want to look my best when I go out.
So you don't want to just get up and just get ready.
I'm not just going to put on anything.
Yeah, you're not just putting on anything.
That's right. I want to look my best.
I'm thinking about how sharp the Queen of Preneed is today. How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
It normally takes me about an hour to get ready, Mr. Beckman.
Okay.
And I have to do my hair, of course, my makeup.
And I mean, we know you're flawless now. So all together, just an hour with the makeup?
I want everything to match, you know, even from my jewelry all the way down to the shoes that I wear.
Now, I notice today that your earrings is matching the buttons on your jacket as well as the watch that you're wearing.
Right.
So that's very important to you. It's not something you just throw together.
That's right.
Pastor Body, I see you got them stripes and all kinds of trimming.
Well, it takes me about an hour. It really depends on where I'm going.
Okay.
If I'm going, I'm just wearing some casual clothes. It takes me about 30 to 40 minutes. But if I'm ready for Sunday morning or to come to work at the funeral home or to come do the show, it's going to take me about an hour.
An hour?
An hour. Because I got to make sure I don't have a string of hair out of place.
That's not.
Trying to make sure there's no dust on the suit. The
That's not something you take lightly.
No, I don't take my presentation to the public lightly.
Okay. All right. Carolyn, I know it's important to you.
About an hour.
Okay.
From beginning to end, like you say, you have to get up and you have to do some preparation.
Right.
In order to get ready. So it's about an hour.
All right. How important is it that y'all look good every day? How important is that you, Chief Embalmer, that you look good every day?
It's very important, Mr. Beckwith.
Okay.
They're tuned again. My position at the funeral home and what I do. I feel good about myself. If I feel good about myself, then I feel good about what I'm doing.
Okay.
And so it's quite important. It takes me about an hour. It takes me about an hour to get ready in the morning. There again, you know, what I do at the funeral home, of course, is quite important. So I have to feel good.
Feel good about yourself.
And I have to feel good about myself. And then in the event that I'm called in front of a family, you know, the first impression is the lasting impression.
That makes a big difference.
When a family sees me, of course, they need to feel good about me too, because the first impression is the lasting
We think
impression.
that's important.
Yes,
so do y'all spend a lot of money on cosmetics and these hair products? I'll start with the Queen of Preneed, y'all. Is that something you do, Queen of Preneed?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I use MAC.
Is that the only makeup you use?
That's the only makeup I use.
All right.
And it's quite costly, but I think I'm worth it.
You're worth it.
I think I'm worth it. And in addition to that, I like nice clothes and nice shoes because I've worked all my life.
Okay.
And I think I deserve it. The first few years of my life, when I first got married or whatever, I had to sacrifice raising the kids and doing without a lot of things. So this is kind of like my time to kind of pamper me and take care of Deborah Abram. So, I enjoy nice things.
Okay. How much money you think you put into clothes, Brother Pace? We know you sharp, man. You got your name written all on your sleeves. And I mean, is that something you spend a lot into?
Definitely. Because first impressions is important. I want to look like I'm somebody, you know. And I do that by how I dress. Okay. And I let people know this is the person that's representing you. And I spend a little money. I buy the suit. I get them designed and want everything matching and everything looking good. And like I said, I represent Golden Gate.
So if we think that's so important in life, is embalming, do y'all think that's important? Do you want to be embalmed, Pastor Body?
Most definitely.
Okay.
I want my loved ones to be able to look at me for the last time.
Okay.
And I want to be dressed from head to toe in the best suit I have. If my family have to go buy me a new one, put a new one on me. But I have to look good because that's how I presented myself while I was alive. I kept myself well groomed, kept my hair together, kept my clothes together, and that's how I want to be remembered. Even when they rolled me down the aisle for the last time, I want to be embalmed. I know we have some awesome embalmers at Golden Gate Funeral Home, and I want them to make me look just as good as I do now.
So I mean, it's interesting. I'm gonna kind of piggyback on that. Do y'all think a person can look better dead than they did alive, Carolyn?
I've actually heard that though, Mr. Baker.
You've heard a family say that?
I've actually heard several families. When I call them on the phone, they go like, they made my mother look 10 years, 20 years younger than she did when she was alive. It was just
Because we know there's some procedures out there. We can remove some wrinkles. We can take down some swelling. Yeah, we can do a little more. Then we can tailor it. Because a lot of times families will bring those new suits, but those new suits need to be tailored as well. Do y'all agree with that? And we need to make sure they're made to fit.
That's right.
And that's all a part of what we would call the art of embalming, not just the mechanics of the embalming. Exactly. Do you agree with that,
Certainly
Chief
I do.
Embalmer?
I certainly do,
Okay.
Mr. Beckwith, because, you know, my position at the funeral home is to present a favorable memory picture.
Right.
And whatever it takes to make a deceased person look pleasurable to their family for the last time, that's my ultimate. And my ultimate, even being in the profession for as long as I've been, I get a lot of satisfaction out of the fact that I hear families as I walk through the corridors of the funeral home sometime and they're viewing their loved one, is that mother looks good.
Right.
That means more to me than anything.
Right.
You know, just the satisfaction of knowing that I've served a family and the family is pleased with how they were serviced.
So it's not just a paycheck.
No, sir,
really
it's
a
not.
calling to you.
No, sir, it's not.
And then I tell you, it's not just
everything
paycheck. It
about
may
the
be
money.
somebody watching out there say, well, hey, I want to be an embalmer. I want to be the person that makes these people look so good. What do y'all think on a national-wide level? What would you guess that the average salary, King of Pre-Need, for an embalmer would be on a nationwide level?
Nationwide, I'd say about $45,000.
And it's interesting, he said he's about $10,000 off. On a nationwide level, the average salary for an embalmer is only about $35,000 a year. Now, Golden Gate Funeral Home, the CFO says, because she knows she pays a lot more than that for her embalmers.
Exactly.
But on the average, that was about, if you go out and, there's so many ways we can check now, but it's only about $35,000 for the average embalmer. And then we have to talk about what does it take to become an embalmer. And we'll let our Chief Embalmer kind of talk a little bit about what's some of the things you have to go through to become an embalmer.
Mr. Beckwith, in order for me to certify as a licensed embalmer here in the state of Texas, back in 1986 when I was licensed, I had to go through 15 months of mortuary college. I had to take a state examination. I had to serve an apprenticeship that took me a year and a half. I had to go back before the Texas Funeral Service Commission for an exit interview where I actually had to embalm a body.
Right.
It took, Mr. Beckwith, at least 4 years,
For you to
conclusively
accomplish
to accomplish my goal, my lifelong goal. I enjoyed every moment of it because there again, this is a calling upon my life, and it's something that I love doing. As I tell a lot of my friends, if I did not live in a world and in a society where I had to make money to live, I wouldn't even want to get paid for it because I love it.
You hear that, Chief Financial Officer?
I do.
Wow. Maybe we don't have to pay it.
I'll see if you still feel that way on Saturday. Saturday afternoon.
Well, Ms. Hayes, I'm sorry. I have bills I have to pay.
He said if he didn't live in the society. I got you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I encourage anyone out there that I think about when I went to mortuary college back in 1985 is that you have so many friends and relatives. Reverend Body will tell you, you probably felt like you were in mortuary college when I was in mortuary college.
Most definitely, because we spent a lot of times in that room helping you get through those notes you had.
Exactly.
Getting ready for tests. I had to be, I guess I could say, a guinea pig for
exactly.
you. Exactly.
I was about to say that for you. And I don't want y'all to think that I embalmed Reverend Body while I was in school. But it does help when you have the support of friends and relatives that would help you through that process. And I always encourage everyone that Golden Gate Funeral Home has what's called a ride-along program. Now, you can't assist in the embalming procedure. You have to actually be a mortuary student or doing an apprentice in order to assist in that procedure. But you can come and ride along with us and kind of get an idea of what we do on an everyday basis. And I think we're the only funeral home in the nation that's offering that at this time. So I want just the public to understand that it takes a lot to become an embalmer, and it takes a lot to stay an embalmer.
Exactly.
Because there's continued education that we have to complete every 2 years. They ask us at least 16 hours right here in the state of Texas. Now, what do you think about that, Pastor Bob? Do you think embalming is something that you would encourage someone as a career?
Almost definitely. If they can give themselves to it and have the desire to do it. So many times people want to get involved in things that they have no desire of, but they want to do it because of the money. But this is a passion. This is a calling. This is a ministry. You're dealing with someone else's loved one, and you need to have that love of God in your heart to make sure that you go to school, get those licenses, do whatever it needs to take to get that license in your pocket, and then go work for a very reputable funeral home.
Right.
And follow their teachings and guidance for as embalming techniques, and then you put what you have with that, and that will make that loved one look a whole lot beautiful.
And I'm thinking about that, Queen Preet, how important it is for you to have everything in order. So I know if something happens to you, you want to make sure that embalmer is someone that's able to put you back the way that you are.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's not something we just
I
want to
really
just take
want
for
one
granted.
that's going to make me look about 10 or 20 years younger.
And you know, we can do that for you. We got you covered. We got you covered at Golden Gate.
Write it down.
Write it down.
And take the picture that you want to look like at that time and put it with your wishes.
And we'll make sure that you look just like that picture,
There you
regardless
go.
what happens. And when we talk about regardless what happens, we understand that things does happen. Sometimes we go off and people don't find us for days and months. Sometimes you have plane crashes, car crashes. And we have what we call restorative art. How important do you think that would be, Pastor Bach?
Well, that'd be very, very important because there are some cases where restorative art is required.
Okay.
And some people have the chance to see their loved one before that process is taken. They just have that picture of how they looked before they got to the funeral home. And then when the funeral home, who has a licensed embalmer, comes in and go to the restorative art process, and we present your loved one to them, they're just amazed at how they looked. It looked as if nothing ever happened to them. You can't see where it may have been a gunshot wound, may have been a head trauma wound, and you can't see none of those.
Right.
And that's very important for restored art. And I commend anybody that's a licensed embalmer. And I'm going to throw this in for free. My request has been made that you come out of retirement, Brother John.
I know you told me that. You told me I have to do the embalming myself for you, right? I have to come and do it myself. I have 100 employees, but that day I'm going to be the one that goes in to do the embalming procedure. All right. Now, Carolyn, what do you think? I want you to kind of tell the public, what is the difference between a funeral director and embalmer? Because most people just think of us as funeral directors. And I know you are a licensed funeral director. So let's talk a little bit about that difference.
Well, the embalmer, of course, as we've been talking throughout the show.
Okay.
That's the person that will do the sanitation, the presentation, preservation for your loved one. They are getting your loved one ready. The funeral director handles the family.
Okay.
So when the family comes in to make arrangements in that homegoing celebration for their loved one, the funeral director at that point steps in. And we help guide them through that entire procedure. We make all the arrangements for them. And then we take care of them at the funeral and at the interment.
Right. And I know a lot of times people say, well, the guy that did the embalming also did that. But you can be both a licensed funeral director and a licensed embalmer. And we will find that most embalmers are licensed funeral directors as well. But it's not necessary. You don't have, you can be one or the other, or you can be both. And I think it's important that we let people